Say that, please.
We need to teach kids actual behavior.
The conduct that demonstrates qualities.
Conduct that demonstrates quality.
And the quality we're after here, staff, is being calm, being able to solve a problem, be able to learn from mistakes. And one of the things people do is to say oops. Oops is one of the most important words for a person when doing hard things. And then we applaud, again, not that we made the mistake, but that we realize, okay, so next time I'm going to put my feet together to be a backstop, or I'm going to stand a little farther apart, I'm going to make eye contact with my partner. Second question. How many of you implemented a plan and did something differently the second time and found that it was successful? How many of you tried something different? Okay. Right. Now, you may have done different things from the group behind you. You may have done different things from the group behind you. That's entirely okay. Here's something that I've learned from decades of leading games. The standard out there at camps and other youth programs is to debrief after the activity. So in most places, 99% of them, what they would do is play shoe fly, and then they would sit down like this and they would debrief. They would ask, blah, 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 how many of you blonde, is anyone blonde, blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. I like, as a result of our being together, that you take home a novel idea. Okay? And my novel idea is debrief in the middle whenever you can. So what I like to do is I like to have kids play, and then stop, and then huddle up, and talk about the answers to 3 questions. What worked? What didn't? What do we do next time? So what's working? Well, I can't. Okay, so how can we solve that? This idea of getting them in a circle and talking about things and communicating is actually the subject of a whole workshop I'm doing tomorrow at 3:15. If you like the idea of teaching staff how to facilitate those discussions, I think we should have them every day at camp. And staff will do it if you show them exactly how to do it, make it simple, and make it look fun. So that was my project for this year, and I'm bringing that to Tri-State tomorrow. Right now, you just practice that. You huddled up, you talked with each other, you implemented a plan. How many of you had plans that maybe didn't work? Yeah, and that's information that you could use, right? All right, and that's just oops and applause. Okay, great. Excellent. So I love for kids to see that we applaud mistakes. Will that make kids maybe more willing to try a hard thing? Yeah, sure, because they'll see that the group is supportive of that. Would it be all right if we just played one more quick game?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for your spirit. In this game, let's rest our voices. And I'll tell you that one of the things I did in the 1980s was, in addition to trying to make partner in a law firm and be a trial lawyer for 9 years, what I did was I went to school at Second City Theater in Chicago. And I went at nights, and they had something that was a 5-semester school that you just did at night. One of the games that you learn when you learn improv the right way, and excuse my value judgment there, but today improv is taught as a way to get laughs in comedy clubs for people who are drinking alcohol. And that's comedy improv, and that's fun. But when you learn from the people who invented this stuff in Chicago, the classic teachers taught us some pure ways of using improvisational theater. There are a lot of things in workshops, like here's improv games for camp or whatever. I'm going to show you a pure essence of a classic improv theater game, but I'm going to show you how I use it with staff and how I recommend that they do it with kids. Like the best games, this is very simple. I call the game Sphere, and here's how it's played. In a moment, thank you. One of you will please do what we call in improv, establish the object. That's taking something that isn't there and making it look real. Please say those 3 words as establish the object.
Establish the object.
This object is a sphere. Now, I won't tell you anything else about it, except that it's round. I do not know its size. You decide that. I do not know its weight, its color. I do not know if it's shiny like a billiard ball or if it's fuzzy like a tennis ball. I don't know if you can see through it or you can't. I know nothing about whether it's decorated with stars. I know nothing about whether it's dimpled on its surface. I don't know any of these things, including, may I repeat please, weight and size. In a moment, not yet, I'm going to ask you to, one of you, establish the object. What I'm going to ask you to do is to just show, without speaking, what the sphere looks like. Do not speak. Then what I'm going to ask you to do is to pass it to someone on your left or right who without speaking will accept the sphere. Now, if you hand them something that's a tennis ball, and they take from you a cantaloupe melon, there was a problem in your delivery. Okay? So that's just an oops. Try it again. Take it back and establish the object. Your only POC in improv theater, classic style, we call that point of concentration. Would you say that, please?
Point of concentration.
The POC of this person is just to make the sphere real. Make the sphere real. So when you hand it to them, you are not pantomiming air. You are handing them a sphere. It's real. You must act it like it's real. You must show its weight in your forearms and in your face and in your shoulders. And when you pass it to them, you won't do it perfectly. That's why we're going to practice. They will take the same sphere that you imagined in your head, and they will make that reality. Now, each time somebody passes the sphere, you must add one thing to the group's knowledge about that sphere. So person number 2 may let you know what color it is. How? I don't know, because you can't speak. The third person may add whether or not there's something inside. The fourth person may let us know whether it has an odor to it. You can decide, but each person who touches and makes the sphere more real each time and makes that vision even more real by adding to our knowledge about it. You are not allowed to speak during our game, and the game is called Sphere. Laughing and giggling is not only allowed, it is highly encouraged. All right, ready? One of you please establish the object, and please share the sphere. Nice. Nice. There you go. Now, freeze, please, just freeze. You have the sphere in your face now, I know. There is one bit of coaching I'm going to give you, okay? If you take the sphere and you just give it to somebody, okay? I want you to go more slowly now, okay? Because you don't, if it were real, you wouldn't just do that, okay? All right? As it leaves your palms and your fingertips, take your time and show them what you're giving them. Go, if you need to, painstaking slowness. There is no rush here. Your staff, by the way, will, say, all right, we're going to take it. I don't know. This must be some weird mental health test. Just leave this out. Okay? What you do is take your time. So the coaching I do is I say, take your time, go slowly, think, make it real. The coaching you do is go slowly and make it real. Will you say those coach things? Go slowly, make it real. The most important of those to remember is just make it real. Go slowly. Continue, please.
Pretty real.
You're doing great. Nice. Feel it on your fingertips. Feel it on the palms of your hands. Show it your shoulders and your wrists. There you go.
No, I didn't. We were just saying.
Nice, good. People grimacing. Grimacing is good. Nice. Make it real. Take your time. Make it real. Oh, some of them are floating. There you go. Nice. 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 Beautiful. Okay, please freeze. Last move. Here's how I finish my game. Whoever's holding it, just bring it in close to you. When I say go, that sphere will become precisely twice whatever its present weight is. Okay, ready? Go! Please pass it to the person next to you at that weight. Stop, please. Whoever's holding it, it will now become 5 times what its weight is now. Now, please note, Jeff, it will not become bigger. Does it become a centimeter bigger? it just becomes 5 times heavier as it is right now on your hands, and your wrists, and your shoulders, and your forehead. Ready? Now! Please pass it. Okay, stop, please. Now, careful. Whoever's holding it, please bring it back to its original weight. Now, you can, by the way, then do 5 times lighter, etc. Now, I'll show you the great finish. Are you ready? Please say yes. Yes. You're gonna love this. This is fun. It's fun watching it. You'll enjoy leading it. Games are best if you enjoy leading them. Do you agree? Yes. All right. So here's a really fun thing you have them do. You have them slide into the middle of the circle, please. So it's now at everyone's feet. Everyone stare at it. Now you can then say, could everyone say the color, and would you say the same? Would everyone know its surface and whether it's shiny or smooth? Such. You know those questions, right? And then what you do is you say the following things. You say staff. Showing is better than telling.
Showing is better than telling.
Our kids
Will
pay more attention
pay more attention
to what we do
to what we do
than what we say.
than what we say.
You may have thought
You may have thought
that you weren't saying anything,
that you weren't saying anything,
but all of you were constantly communicating.
but all of you were constantly communicating.
Please continue to... There are other kinds of debriefing that are obvious here. One of the kinds that I like to do is, before we finish, is I like to tell them that when we want to create things that are abstract, we have to make them real for people. So to say we want kids to be responsible, to say that we want them to be kind, these are things we need to make real through our actions. Does the metaphor work for you? See what I'm saying? So you can't just say to a kid, I tell this to your staff, I say to your staff, you can't just say, be more responsible, Jeffrey, because what does that mean? What you have to do is you have to show what responsible people do. Does that make sense? Okay. So now, here's the big finish. This is cool. So what you do is you say, everyone please put your hands on the sphere so that it's completely covered. Get some of your hands underneath it as well. Now, if somebody walked by, they would now know its size. Okay? Now, lift it about an inch off the floor, please. So now I would know its weight, all of you. Yeah. All right. Now, the sphere is now 5 times heavier. So please lift it about 5-6 inches, half a foot. Now show how heavy it is in your arms. Now, without letting go, here's a physical challenge. I want you to please squat while holding it. So try to get on your feet. Keep your hands on it. Bring it up to waist high. Nice. Oh, beautiful. Feel it in your knees. Feel it in your shoulders. Feel it in your elbows. Now, bring it up to your shoulders. Take your time. Make it real. It's not bigger. It's just heavier. Now, slowly bring it above your head. Now, make sure your hands are covering it completely. Some on top, some below. On the count of 3, we're going to say poof, and it's going to vanish. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Poof. Please give yourselves a round of applause.